So, Dr. Amit, I heard you talk about the hypnobirthing experience you had first.
Yes.
The lecture,
Yes.
right? Now, tell me, how does that play a role during pregnancy? I mean, during labor.
See, to have if one wants a natural birth, that is a non-medicated birth, okay, or a vaginal birth, even a medicated vaginal birth.
All different combinations.
Yeah, different combination.
Yes.
One has to gain confidence
Right.
in oneself. And this hypnobirthing program, the literature which is there in all kinds of programs is excellent.
I see.
It tells you why, how a baby is born, how, what goes in labor, what you need to do, and there's a relaxation program. So primarily, if one wants to have a natural birth, one has to relax.
Yes.
Okay, when one relaxes, then as I said earlier, if you're in stress, your adrenaline, non-adrenaline is pumping, your body shuts down. When one relaxes, your body opens up, the good hormones, endorphins, oxytocin, prostaglandin, etc. All of them cascade and flow.
Yes.
And you can have a fast birth. So what this hypnobirthing program does is it teaches you to relax through affirmations and visualization and get you into that zone.
Right.
Once you get into that zone, then your endorphins and all these hormones fall into play.
Right.
But saying that, there are lots of other methods, like people do meditation, people like to sit in and the best way, according to me, to relax is sit in a warm tub of pool.
Yes.
So that's that's the best way for me, to relax.
Right.
Or listen to music.
Yeah.
Or you can do this hypnobirthing program. But
Right.
hypnobirthing program, it inculcates all of these options and puts it into one.
Puts it into a proper systematic approach.
Yes. And there are lots of videos which you can see. And you gain that confidence. So once you have that confidence that, yes, I can do it, then there's nothing stopping you. I'm merely just a guy to make sure everything goes according to plan, and I step in if things are not going according to plan.
So nervous system has to be regulated and not kickstart into its primitive
sympathetic mode.
Sympathetic mode that will go into either a fight, flight, freeze, mode, or dissociation, sort of that kind of response.
We need the parasympathetic.
You want that parasympathetic, expanded, rested state. To be, that's what you're calling it, a zone.
So that is
the Zen zone. Okay.
So that is what. So even when we are, when the mother is in that zone, we are very careful what language you use. We don't talk about pain. We don't talk about, lots of stuff.
Which is the biggest fear of mothers.
So you have to. All our words are very positive. There's no negative tone, because in that zone, the mothers are very sharp. They can hear. They don't remember anything after the birth.
Yes.
But they can hear everything at that point. Yes. Even if you're whispering, they can pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's so amazing. So that is what.
Because they're hyper alert. I think the awareness is very, very strong.
Yes, so they are fully tuned.
They're tuned in and they can hear that. And I've heard a lot of mums talk about the kind of sometimes abusive language that has been used in labor rooms. And that has stayed with them for very long periods of time, and it can be very traumatizing for them. And this can not just happen during labor and birth, but also post as well. I've heard them talk about that, which I've gone through myself. And those are imprints that stay on. Right?
That's right.
Tell me more about the hypnobirthing.
According to me, ma'am, labor has different aspects to it.
Okay.
So there's a physical, there's a mental, there's an emotional aspect to labor and how to cope with labor.
Yeah.
Hypnobirthing is one of the best tools that mamas have to be able to use their ears to listen within. Because hypnobirthing takes them inward, not outward. See, when we're looking at the physical, your doula is there also to massage the back if you need, or make you sit on a birth ball if you're feeling too much pressure, or get into the water. But going inward is something that only the mama can do. And hypnobirthing helps them to do just that. So I have seen, in all the births that I've done, my hypnobirthing mamas have had much better outcomes than mamas who have not done it. So that's why I swear by hypnobirthing.
It's like an empowering engagement and that they bring in from their side.
Yeah, it helps you work your body through your mind.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Keep your mind
Very
as
well
calm
said.
as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what brings about the relaxation.
Yeah.
That's what then brings
Yeah.
about the oxytocin.
Right.
You know, and that's how labor then
Yeah.
is a much more positive experience than otherwise.
Right. And I resonate with what you just now said, doctor, because much of the things that happen during labor is so phenomenally heightened as a
Yes.
sensory experience
Yes.
in the human body, as especially the woman's body, is that she will have to rely upon extraordinary amounts of effort that she takes with the mind
Yes.
to take her through that process.
That's
and
true.
it cannot be done without that.
Yes.
So I think even what I'm hearing you say is that this hypnobirthing gives that ability and the tool for the mother that actually supports your work.
Yes.
It
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
just their benefit, but it's also the benefit of the caregivers.
Yes. Yes.
That
It
she's
makes it.
taking charge of
Yeah.
what is going on at that point,
Yes.
not just outsourcing it. Because that outsourcing part of it is really that brings in a lot of body shaming for women, because there has been always an outsourcing of everything that we want to take care of ourselves during our growing years, and we haven't really got that empowerment to take major decisions in life. For example, especially in our culture, everything is done by others, everything is told by others. So you tell me what to do and I will do it. So that's the approach they have. But if we are asking them to engage with that, they have to have the tools to do that.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, from your years of experience that you have now, what's your personal inner journey through this experience of watching mothers being so engaged in their birth?
It is. It's amazing because it's kind of. I mean, you feel like you're watching a movie, literally. You know, the way they are in that zone, and the way it's like an out of body experience.
What has it
Literally.
done to you as a human being when you are in this space experiencing this birth?
So for me, it's amazing because for me, I can see that a mother doesn't need any help. She can do, I mean, she can birth on her own, honestly. You know, so for me, I just feel so amazed that nature, God, Lord, whoever has made a female body in such an immaculate condition and shape, that with all the systems flowing through, that it is unreal. You know, there's at so many levels. There is so much, as I said earlier, there's so much going on, and still she can give birth, okay, without help, without any aid.
Right.
It's very mystifying. You know,
mystifying,
yeah,
yeah.
it is.
How has
Yeah.
it been for you, Sana?
To be very honest, every birth is amazing in itself. You know, sometimes when the job you do gets very monotonous, no, for certain people, like
Yeah.
they're doing the same thing again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
But with birth, I think
Quite
every
adventurous.
birth, it's adventurous in its own way,
Yeah.
but the outcome is different every time. And after so many births, I think it still amazes you also, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still
When you
amazing.
see a baby
Yeah.
coming out, and that's the best that you could have ever asked for. That fulfilling,
Yeah.
that it gives you a sense of fulfillment, you know. And it one
That
of the
force of
biggest-
life in
Yeah.
the room, I think it's
No, especially
palpable.
but especially if the mother is empowered and it is,
Yeah.
you know, and she is leading her birth.
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 That's the
beautiful.
best.
There have
Yeah.
been times where both of us are in the room,
Yeah.
but we are both standing with our gloves on,
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
We
Sure.
are not near the mummy and the daddy.
Yeah. Sure.
Both of them may be in the
Yeah.
pool,
They're
and the
having
daddy
their own
is
experience there.
birthing the
Yeah.
baby. It's a hands off. I think
Witnessing.
one of the things that I personally have learned is how to not interfere,
Yeah.
you know, when it's not required.
Yeah.
Guidance is different,
Yeah.
but interfering is, you know,
Very
very
different,
different.
yeah.
And there's a very fine line between both of them.
Yeah.
So I think giving them that space and holding their space for them. You know, once a mama is in labor and when she's in that zen mode that we've been talking about, making sure that you don't let her break that zen mode. So holding that space for her intact,
Yeah.
so that she has the freedom to do that, is one of the biggest learning experiences
Yeah.
that I've
That's
had.
the witnessing part that you're talking about.
And
And so resembles
Not
and
touching.
resonates with me in terms of craniosacral therapy.
Yes.
The witnessing.
Yes.
If we can witness and be absorbed in the amazement of the wisdom of the body. It's so amazing to see what it can do.
Right.
It's really so. How can hospitals, if they're listening into us, I'm sure that you learning about the physiology and the natural process of what birth can be, which you learned over a period of time. What did you turn the labor room, to be looking like after that?
So we try to make it as conducive to the mother as possible. So
less clinical? Are you meaning less clinical?
Yes, less clinical. Dim the lights.
Okay.
Music.
Okay.
Then sometimes we cover all the shiny stuff with with drapes.
Okay.
So it looks less clinical,
Yeah.
and avoid all the lights and like the sharp lights which are there, and keep minimum people inside. Only Sanam, nobody else. Okay, if required, when monitoring, obviously we have my resident or whoever on call or sister.
And also the partner, if there is a need for that.
And the partner. Yeah. So try to make it, dress it up as she wants it.
As she wants it. Okay. But what are the things that you're using? I'm hearing that you have a birthing pool.
Yeah, so we have a birthing pool. So a birthing pool is specialized pools made out of rubber. We put a sterile sheath on top. Okay, covering the pool. It's like a glove.
Okay.
For the pool.
Okay.
So we just sterile. We fill it with warm water. It is temperature is maintained at body temperature 37, 38 degrees, and that is used by the mother to labor in. That's the best form of pain relief.
Okay.
I mean, safest form of pain release, non-medicated. So we have the option of the mother laboring in water and delivering outside, or delivering in water. But what the pool does more than anything to the mother is, that is her space. She can take charge because that is her cocoon, so it empowers her. So just seeing the mother entering the pool, and they always give this huge sigh, sigh of relief.
Sigh of relief.
And when the mother is relaxed, again I said the endorphins kick in and the labor picks up. The mother can take, the BP comes down if she is stressed. The stress levels go, again endorphins kick in. The contractions start again properly.
More rhythmically.
Yes. She's buoyant, so she can take any position she wants.
Okay.
There is anti-gravity, so blood flow increases. She can squat and birth. Okay, so we can help the descent of the baby.
Okay.
The chances of perineal tear is less, or even if it tears, it is a little bit minimal.
It's
because there is a counter pressure of the water on the head of the baby as the head comes out. So the head extends slowly.
Okay.
So that tears are less, and the main thing is she's relaxed. And is gentle, is beautiful. The baby comes out from fluid to fluid, so it does not breathe, does not gasp in the water.
And so there's no danger for a baby.
There is no danger for the baby.
What about fear of infection? Because I think many mothers have that fear.
So you're right. So but there is the fear of infection.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water. There's like 400-500 liters of water.
Right.
Okay. So as somebody has said, the pollution to solution is dilution.
Okay.
Solution to pollution is dilution.
Right.
Barbara Harper said that.
Yes.
So there's a lot of water. So if even a mother poops, which they usually do, we scoop it out. Okay. Little poop is okay, unless you are, you have diarrhea or something that is obviously ridiculous.
Yeah.
And usually from the time the head comes out till the next contraction and which delivers the baby out, it's not very long.
It's not too long.
It's not too long. So far there has been lots of studies, like thousands and thousands of studies, evidence-based, on water births and infection, and the chance of infection is like not even 2%, less than 2%.
Less than 2%.
So yes, it is safe. Yes, the chances of infection are very, very low.
It's very low.
And
it's well monitored is what I'm hearing.
Yes, yes, and you have to see again there are protocols put in place which are not put by me, by the Royal College, by RCOG, which
tell us about that. What are they exactly putting into place?
So first we start with the temperature of the water. As I said, it has to be body temperature, 36, 38 degrees centigrade. If the water is too cold, then it can be fetal distress. There could be fetal distress. If once a baby comes out. If it's too hot, there can be the maternal tachycardia, the maternal pulse, heart rate goes up, which can cause again fetal distress.
Right.
So temperature is important.
It's maintained.
It's maintained. Constantly maintained. Then we have to use a sterile liner, as I said, to avoid infection. Because we can reuse the pool, but with a new liner on top. Liner on top. We do not reuse the liner again. Okay. Then the criteria, there are set criteria for the mother. That means she shouldn't have any medical disorders like hypertension, diabetes.
Which is already already there.
Yeah, which is already been during pregnancy.
Or even before.
Yeah, or even before. If there is no antenatal hemorrhage, like too much of bleeding before, if the placenta is not very low, okay. So basically, if the criteria is of the mother who can have a birth outside, can have a birth in the water. It's not much of difference.
No.
And 95% of the mothers can fit that criteria.
Okay.
So if the baby criteria should be again no distress, if not a IUGR baby, if the baby is not very small, or if the baby is not too big, also, okay, because it will be difficult to maneuver in the water.
Okay.
And twins, also if one baby is breech or interlocking. So these are the few criteria
that may not come into that
into play.
Okay. How open are mothers to water birthing, Sanam?
I'm seeing a change every day. It's getting better by the day.
Okay. But what are their fears?
The same.
Similar to what I was talking about.
Infection, what if the baby drowns?
Yes.
So we have to keep telling
what about the breathing?
What about the breathing? So the baby is coming from water to water, the baby is living in water, so they need to be reminded and just guided. So we have a seminar which we hold every month, which is completely free. It's for educational purposes, where both of us actually want to tell parents that this option is available for you, It's one of the most beautiful birthing ways to birth. And we try and dispel all the myths around water birthing with proper scientific data, which is given through the seminar to the parents who are interested in learning more about water birthing.
Okay. And so where do we get to know about this information regarding your classes?
We put it up online most of the time whenever we're
online.
having a seminar.
You mean Instagram?
Instagram.
On the Instagram handle. Okay.
So it comes up there, and we have it, I think we used to have it once a month, and sometimes the dates are up or down, but
I see.
Very, very
So what is covered is, advantages of a water birth, disadvantages, safety, main thing.
Who are the ones who can fit into it and who don't fit into it.
And then we also have, maybe if time permits, we have one of our mamas talk about their experience with water birth or with the C-section, who ended up with the C-section, their experience.
Yeah. So all of that is kind of given to them.
It is. So they can ask questions.
Any myth takes time to break, ma'am.
Absolutely, because it's coming from fear again, right?
Yes.
So we are looking at fear and safety.
Going back to our roots,
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
water births, natural births, gentle births are our roots.
Yes.
Women for centuries have been doing it.
Yeah.
And then I think
industrialization and domestication, industrialization would have moved those from that to more into these things.
And
moving
today
away from
women are
nature.
realizing this, and I've seen this change, especially in our city also. There is a huge change. A lot of more mamas are coming to us with questions about our practices, and it's good that they have these questions. He must have had mamas coming and saying, are you going to be able to give me a natural birth? How do you birth your babies? What are your protocols?
Yes.
So they're coming well informed, and that is the best thing with with your social media and all nowadays, because word is spreading.
Word is spreading, and people want to know about it. First is the fear, of course. Once the fear is settled, I think they are more open towards.
And it's all about education, ma'am. As long as they're getting the correct knowledge, they're getting the correct guidance, who wouldn't want that experience for themselves?
Right.
You know, I mean, if you're pregnant and you're having a baby, anyone in their sane mind would want a beautiful, gentle experience. Yes, there are some mamas who are afraid.
Right.
And who are genuinely afraid and say, no, I don't think this is for me. I want to go the, normal.
But they should know that there is an option for them, right? That's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me if there is any specific important things that they need to consider if they are looking for water birth, and if the hospitals are providing with that safety. What should the mothers look for if a hospital says that they are providing water birth and we're not sure whether that is safe and they are meeting what the requirements are? See, what would be the red flags?
Yeah, so first of all, lots of hospitals say they try to lure the patient saying that we do water births when they don't.
Yes. Okay.
And they don't know even the W of water birth, you know. But they put it up on the website saying that they do it.
They do.
There are honestly very few hospitals which allow water births.
And genuinely,
and very few who do them. Okay, there are a handful of obstetricians who are doing them. So none of the hospitals are doing them on their own. Okay, it is the obstetricians who are doing it in a hospital.
In a hospital. Who are aware of how to.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, see, if the the biggest fear is obviously the baby for the mother. So the hospital should have a good NICU setup.
Right.
You know, good pediatric care setup or neonatologist. Okay, so because once the baby is sorted, you know, that's their fear, you know. And the hospital staff team, including the pediatrician, have to be on board with the mother and her healthcare provider. You know, because this synergy has to be maintained, otherwise it doesn't work.
It may not work.
Yeah, it won't work. It's, you know, because if the pediatricians are fearful of the water birth, then obviously it's not going to work, you know, because they will keep spreading the fear, you know, to the mother, you know, and then once that fear gets in her, then instinct kicks in, obviously, you know, and she will not.
Protective instinct kicks in. And
that's what.
Things can go south.
So if everybody is on board, in fact, we'd gone for a teaching program to teach some doctors in Bhopal, I think so. Or some state, and in that hospital they were very keen on starting water births, but their pediatrician was very scared, and he had got all this data saying, oh, but the infection and this and that, and though they went ahead and they had a water birth, a beautiful one, etc., but you know, so that's what I'm saying. So the pediatrician wasn't on board, but
you have to have the entire team.
You have to have the entire
synergy
team, right from the admin to everyone. You know?
Everyone.
So you have to convince everybody, you know, or if the admin
and their own fears that each one brings.
Yes.
He did it eventually after all the education that was given to him.
Education and awareness, I think,
and they
time for them
are doing proper water births.
Yeah, they're doing proper water births, and it's all data, right? It's all data driven. You know, my practice is all evidence based, data driven. So and data is all there. It's not that I made it up.
Right.
It's all there.
Yeah. So a gentle, natural birth, which is vaginal, versus a mother choosing to do a water birth, what difference do you see in terms of the outcomes of it?
So, so the best form of a gentle birth would be a water birth. Okay. So, for me, the outcome of a water birth should be that the birth is gentle. It's not that the baby should come out in water. That is, if it comes out, that's great. But for me, the idea should be the birth should be gentle. The mother should feel good. The mother should be safe.
Right.
She should feel empowered. You know, and then that's a gentle birth according to me.
For the mother.
For the mother.
Yes.
Okay. And also, and because the birth is gentle for the baby also.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
But if it happens in water, it's great.
So would you say that the water pool, mother being in the water, basically allows a great alternative to any kind of pain medication?
Yes, it's the safest form of pain relief.
Pain relief.
Yeah.
What are the dynamics of water that actually helps reduce that pain?
So there is hypokinetic. Okay, so that is
Okay.
basically the muscles relax faster.
Okay.
There is the gravity is less.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's
So
bouncing.
when the baby comes out, the baby it doesn't get hit by gravity, because if the baby is in water, it comes out water. Then when it comes out, then it feels the gravity pull, and it's also the gravity. So the baby's got all these sensor receptors around the mouth, around the face. So when it feels the gravity, then it is one of the stimulation for breathing
Breath.
is gravity. So there's no gravity inside.
Okay.
So that's why the baby does not gasp inside. Then it is quiet
Right.
in the water. Unless in the labor room, the baby comes out, there's lots of sound and
Loud sounds and-
temperature. The
Yes.
temperature, ACs.
Right.
So sound, temperature, these are all stimulations for the baby to take its first breath, which is not there in water.
Right.
Okay, there's less sound, the temperature is the same,
Great.
and there is no gravity. So that makes it very gentle. So when the baby comes out, usually the pediatricians, they earlier on, even me, when I first saw my first water birth, the baby was blue. Okay, and it takes some time for that coloration, the discoloration to go, because the baby is not gasping or crying. It is slowly, it opens his eyes, the blood is still flowing, the heart is beating, blood is flowing to the cord, it's fine, but the baby still is bluish in color, it's not pink.
Yeah.
And then you can see the baby, once the baby opens up, it happens in a very gentle phase.
Okay.
So the Abga score, which we say,
Yes,
that
I was
is
about to
completely
say.
different. So it is, we have a separate Abga score for water
babies.
births.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I was. Next question was about
So
the
it is.
scale.
So earlier on, the pediatrician used to flip out, say, "Oh, doctor, baby blue, baby blue, baby." But I said, relax. This is a gentle birth. Transition happens gently.
Okay.
So
it's not a fear that the baby
it is.
came out in a blue.
No, it is. It's not fearful.
It's not fearful.
Yeah, it's always all water babies are blue, longer blue than normal births outside,
The
land
thing is,
births.
they cry a lot lesser.
Lesser, correct.
They
So
hardly
that is
cry.
why. They
Yeah.
barely cry because they themselves have come out into a comfortable
Environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason the discoloration takes time is because they are not crying and opening out their lungs like they would if they come out in gravity or on land.
Right.
And that's what creates some of the, I think, the stress that the
Stress, yeah.
pediatricians
Yeah, the
take.
pediatricians. could
But I think
have.
now all our pediatricians are now well versed with how long it takes, So,
Yeah,
like
okay.
I said, have one experience and then you wouldn't.
Then
you
it
know,
changes
be
how
worried
you
about it, changes
how
your
you feel
perspective.
about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about the mother's experiences in the water.
My mama.
Give me some examples of it. Like, tell me your lived experience through it.
So we had one of our mamas who, so she, I'm not going to name her, but she was an influencer,
Okay.
and she wanted to have a water birth from forever. And when she got in touch with us, we prepped, we planned, we did the works, and through labor, she said, "Okay, I'll wait a little while and then enter the water." So there were tripods like these all around the room, if you remember the birth. So she was recording every nook and corner of the room was being recorded.
Okay.
And we were all, she was very busy in being on land during labor and, breathing and doing all of that. And we kept telling her, we said, you may want to enter the water now. And she's saying, just 2 minutes, I just have to take one more bite. Or, she was in the middle of all of that. And then finally, when the intensity of labor picked up, she says, okay, I think I'm ready to go into the water now, let's go in. And she took some time outside to get into the water, but the minute she entered the water, you could see bliss on her face. And then the next line she says is, can we order pizza? And we actually did that. That was one of our births where all of us were like, I was there, her mum was there, she's there, he walked in. So we're all sitting around and none of us had eaten because it was a slightly longer experience. And we were all sitting and laughing and eating and basically, having fun. So it's not that labor has to be this intense,
stressful
And very
moment.
clinical.
Like in the
clinical.
movies, people walking in and out,
Yes.
and
And shouting
And
and
shouting.
screaming.
It was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was fun. Yes, we did have to take her down for that birth. We had taken her to the labor room for that birth. She didn't ultimately have the water birth because she did want an epidural post that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, she was happy.
Right.
You know, and that's what matters.
And that shift really, she could feel that
You
shift.
can, yes, you
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
In fact, even the pool is one aspect, but water can be used in any manner.
Yeah.
In hospitals where we don't have a pool, for example, those mamas, if mamas go in for a nice hot water shower during labor, they come out feeling refreshed. They feel so good. And if daddy is going with them, that's added benefit. You know, a lot of oxytocin flowing, a lot of advantage for labor.
Yeah.
So you can use water in so many mediums through labor.
Even if they don't have a water birth.
Even if they don't have
Precisely,
a water birth,
yeah.
yes. So even going for a shower is, grab whatever you can get in terms of water during labor.
And so, Dr. Amit, tell me, if the doctors are listening into you, and if they are wanting to practice, then they are considering that, what are the 3 most important fears they may have to let go?
Well, first of all, one needs patience.
Okay.
Okay, because the labor can be long.
Okay.
Okay, so patience is the mother of all virtues, whoever said that is bang on.
Yeah.
So one needs patience. Okay, one has to give time. Okay, so natural labor takes time. Okay, you cannot hurry it. Okay, and nowadays for all the new doctors, time is money. So it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Sure. Okay. So you
have to warn them and say, okay, you want to do this.
So it can't be done like in 5 hours or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
You have to let the labor flow, let nature take its own course, let the mother's body take over.
Take over and do what it needs to.
Then, exactly, do what it needs to. Then only it will happen. So patience, time, and you need to up your skill level a bit. Okay, your skill level is a little bit different in water births. So
Absolutely,
absolutely. So you have to undergo some programming.
Yeah.
Okay, which is not very difficult.
It's so ironic that you say that, and I've been thinking about this to ask you about it. Saying that while we know that birth is so physiological, natural, and we are supporting it by being the witness of it, but being the witness requires more skill than intervening.
Yes.
Can you comment on that?
So, well, you require skin not to intervene.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
So you have you require not to be hands-on. You have to have your hands off. You literally need to have your hands tied behind your back, literally.
Right. And that requires a lot.
Yes, and that requires a lot.
Yes.
So for that, you need to do these programs where one learns about natural birth, unmedicated birth, water birth, why it is safe, why it is the baby doesn't breathe in the water, why, it's all it gives you a reason for everything.
Right.
Okay, so if one believes in it, then only one can do it. If one doesn't believe in it, you can't do it.
But through this process, what is it doing to the human part of being the doctor?
So it's
there's so much more involvement. I'm hearing you moving from the doing to the non-doing.
Yeah. So it is. So it makes a thick bond between you and the mother, you and the family. Okay, which is beautiful. Okay, and also it makes you more aware of what is happening around. Okay, it's not that even if I'm not doing anything, it's not that I'm just. I'm still fully on.
You're not passive. You're actually active.
My mind is
Mummies and daddies don't see.
But my mind is at 400%.
Absolutely.
It is like I'm looking at everything.
Your awareness and you're fully aware.
So that's why it gets very tiring.
That's what I wanted to say.
So it is tiring. So you have to get used to that. You have 1-2 births back to back. It can get, because you're up for like 24 hours. You're up for 48 hours.
It's labor intensive in that way.
It is complete. It's not that even if she's in and I'm not in, it doesn't mean I'm napping.
Yes.
Maybe I'm lying down, maybe I'm sitting, but my mind is there.
Yeah, sure. You're present. You're more present and aware.
So that is very important. So one needs to learn how to manage it remotely. Monitor the birth remotely through a doula, or
and the support network,
and the support
ecosystem network that you're creating around
yes.
it.
So your ecosystem has to be bang on what you've created.
Yes.
So then that gives you a little bit of chance to
Yeah.
but yes. So there's lots of reprogramming involved.
Yeah, unlearning and reprogramming.
Yeah, and reprogramming.
Yeah. Through this conversation with you, which is so enriching and deeply perceptive, what I would like to also highlight from the things that you mentioned is the team is really the goal. You have the team. How important is it for the silos that each of us work in to be dissolved, to blur away, so that we know how to do the relay from one to the other. So it's quite amazing that it actually brings in more professionals together to bring in their expertise, yet at the same time honor the goal, not just the team but the spirit of the game, of birthing, right? So what is your message to the care providers that are listening into us?
So I would say is, first of all, if you all want to learn about water birth or learn about gentle birth, there is lots of programs which you can do. And once you do it, and once you experience your first gentle birth and or water birth, it's very
empowering.
It's very empowering to see the mother being empowered, empowering for her and for oneself.
Right.
And also the team which you choose, right from your doula to even your pediatrician to the anesthetist. If it turns out into an C-section, even the anesthetist needs to be on board, for a gentle C-section.
Absolutely.
Okay, because she will
she
be
might
holding
have just
the
come out of water birth.
Yeah, exactly. No, but also the way sometimes I give the anesthetist the baby to hold where she is on the side, and then she hands it over. So there's a little bit of training required, and so everybody has to be on par, and they have to believe in giving. The ultimate goal is to make sure that the mother gets what she wants. I mean, that should be the goal. I mean, that is gentle birth.
Experience.
An experience that is held and supported and witnessed.
Yes. So even if it has to be a medical intervention, it's fine, but you can still have a good experience.
Yeah, it's about the experience, right? What's being held and supported. So even in the movie that we once saw during the movie of Untimed Breastfeeding, we spoke about how the integral part of coming together as a team really allows each other to listen to each other.
Right.
I think most of the professionals often don't give a place to listen to what the other person has to say.
Yes.
And that I'm noticing that you're saying that
there has to be the synergy. Yes.
Open the doors so that you can get to hear. You can be safe within your own practice, at the same time integrate what someone else is bringing and honor what somebody else bringing. Because I see that why am I saying this, doctors? Because I'm seeing this often play out in breastfeeding, especially. We don't have a lot of breastfeeding professionals being integrated very well in medical caregiving areas or facilities, for that matter. There's fear sometimes, or they feel like, okay, they are taking over our work perhaps in some way. So much other. So I'm because you have this model working and it's working for this longer time, I want that message to them so that they can open up to see and respect and trust what someone else brings in, especially a non-medical professional. What did you have to open to allow that to occur, especially when you're working with someone?
No, so you have to first
being
of all,
a non-medical professional.
Yes. So first of all, you have to learn a lot, right? You have to first understand the process to make sure that you can project it that it's a safe method. So safety is the key. Bottom line is safety. So if you can convince your team that safety is number one, safety is the key, and intervention will be done only and unless there is some kind of an issue, And if monitoring is also done closely, so we don't miss anything.
Yeah.
And then everyone is on board. So you have to little bit earlier on. I had to convince them a little bit and show them a lot of journals and data to kind of put it out there that it's been done all over the world. Why can't we do it? Safety measures. So a lot of people, doctors have told me. I mean, a lot of pediatricians say, "Can you give me some more information?" And I've done it, to convince them.
Yeah, sure.
And once they see it, then everything falls into place.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I'm hearing you talk about starting with the understanding that we can be humble to know that others can have experience.
Yes.
They can bring their expertise. The second you're saying is education and awareness.
Yes.
And providing them the evidence.
Yes.
So these 4 important things that can allow professionals to become a team.
Yeah, to build a team.
Build a team. Yeah. And that is, I think most people struggle because they don't have the team.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Even if they have the intention to do something, if they don't have a team that's working together, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and one has to believe in it, right?
One has to believe in it.
If you believe in a product, then only it can happen.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to know your evidence to know what to believe in.
Yeah.
And how to believe in it. Yeah.
That's true.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank
it
you.
was such a pleasure to get your insights and an enriching conversation today. And hopefully we'll have more such conversations, specifically going into more experiences, specific experiences that you are having. So much can be dealt with.
Yes. So
Every
much.
aspect of what you're talking about during labor, pregnancy and birth, it's a topic by itself.
Yes, it is. Actually.
Right. So I'm sure you can have a whole encyclopedia of conversations around it.
Right. Okay.
So what's your message for people who come from non-medical backgrounds, Sanam, to be able to open doorways to work with professionals who come from medical backgrounds?
I think it's going to require a lot of patience, to be honest, which I have been dealing with from the very beginning.
Okay.
But we got to stay positive. We got to spread the word.
Yeah.
And we got to also work in a way where
gives them confidence in a way.
The practitioners are able to trust us.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that we don't break trust or break boundaries. As non-medicos, there is that line which you should not cross.
Yeah.
You may know that what's happening may not be
the most conducive
ideal situation, but you can't cross that line. It's not your decision. So as long as you understand that as a doula, from that perspective, you can guide, you can support, but you cannot interfere.
Right.
And I think that's what brings about the positivity in the doctor and the doula relationship also.
Right.
And then of course, if both of them are on the same page, that's where the families have the best benefit of both worlds.
Right.
So it's very important for us non-medicos to work very ethically according to our scope of practice.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sanam. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.